6. 2737, 2738, 2739, 2740, 2741, 2742, 2743, 2744, 2745, 2746. Former Governor Senator representing Sokoto North, Senator Wamako.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, Aliyu M. Wamako remains my name. I rise to move that the vote of proceedings of Tuesday, 8th May 2018 be approved. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Former Governor, Senator representing Ebonyi North, Senator Samegu.
Mr. President, who also was the former governor of Kwara State, my distinguished senators, I am Sam Egu representing Ebonyi North. I rise to second the motion I rise to second that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 8th May 2018 be approved as so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 8th of May 2018 be approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 8th of May 2018 is hereby approved. Announcement. There will be a meeting of the Senate Ad hoc Committee on the Review of the National Security Infrastructure today, Wednesday, 9th of May 2018. Venue, Senate Leaders Meeting Room, time 2 p.m. prompt. Signed by the leader. Wedding invitation reminder. This is to remind you Nutial handshake across the Niger between my son, Kwagam Lidani of Gombe State, and his heartthrob Cynthia Anokuru of Rivers State, scheduled to take place on Saturday, 12th of May 2018. The church wedding will take place at the Aqua Church Central area opposite Church Gate and adjacent World Trade Center Towers, Abuja at 11 a.m. Reception will take place thereafter at Bahamas Event Center, plot 1080 Joseph Gumwalk Street behind Ajuji Hotel, Gudu, Abuja. Accordingly, we will be most grateful if you will find time within your crowded schedule to grace the occasion with your presence. In the event that you may not be able to do so, kindly include the couple in your prayers that God may grant them a happy and blessed marriage life. While looking forward to your attendance, kindly accept the assurance of our highest esteem, Senator Joshua Lidani. I wish to acknowledge the presence of members of the Students' Representative Assembly, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto State, staff and students of Wesley Nursery and Primary School, Wuse, Abuja, staff and students of God's Care Academy, New Yaya, Nasarawa State, staff and students of New Era International School, Masaka, Nasarawa State. All who are in our gallery to observe the Senate proceedings, I wish you all a fruitful observations of our proceedings. You can now sit down. Petitions? Leader, petitions? Yes, Senator Mawabon.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Senator Mao Aruko Huabunwa, Abia North. Mr. President, this is a petition from Opayo Kiro and Associates on behalf of Victory Learning Center and Victory College International Aba. And the head is an appeal to the Senate to intervene in saving the educational prospects of about 1,000 pupils and students of Victory Early Learning Center and Victory College International Aba, Abia State. Mr. President, the Victory Early Learning Center and Victory College is asking the Senate to intervene as they are being pushed out and being harassed by their new Azure landlord, because this is a premises they had occupied for more than 15 years. They had even developed the place only to see a new landlord, that Federal Inland Revenue Services, coming in to ask them to quit, that they have taken over the ownership, and they've asked them to allow them time to sort out the issue. But as they speak, they are being harassed every day by soldiers. So they are asking the Senate to please intervene and save them from this harassment. So
you come and lay the petition. Petition referred to ethics and privileges. Report back in 2 weeks. Petition, yes, and to Tazi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Chukwuka Otaze. I represent the good people of Enugu North, Central District of Enugu State. Mr. President, I have a petition from my constituent, Charles Okechukwu Ani, of Energy Commission of Nigeria, who was dismissed and went to court for his restatement, and the court ordered his restatement. And up till now, the Energy Commission of Nigeria has refused to reinstate him, and he has approached me to bring this matter to this chamber to assist him get back to his job. Mr. President, we can't leave. I laid this report.
Yeah, come and lay the petition. Petition referred to ethics and privileges. Report back in 2 weeks. Yes, point of order, Senator Shilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain as Comrade Senator Shilson under Order 43. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, the Senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, I stand here to make a passionate appeal. Appeal to the conscience and support of this Senate over the issue of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Mr. President, Nigerian Central Bank is the only central bank in the whole of Africa without a board. And when you don't have a board, you limit the ability and the capacity of the management of that institution that has a pivotal role to play in our economy, to manage affairs of the bank and also to function properly. The CBN is such an important, or the most important, economic fulcrum of our country. I can understand that collectively he has stood to make a position in suspending the screening of nominees. But I appeal that we look at the issue of the CBN critically, in the very sense that we can appreciate the fact that they have made some progress in terms of stabilizing the economy, progress in terms of stabilizing the naira, and also progress in terms of the appreciation of our foreign reserve. But we should be very mindful that our work as a Senate will be lessened if we have a board that can perform an institutional oversight to ensure that the bank is run according to due process and according to the base standards both nationally and internationally. The CBN board should be screened in the interest of transparency and probity so that we can truly know what is going on within the bank and we can be properly briefed. And also the management of the bank will be able to function. The absence of a board had made it impossible for the bank to function and to also do its duty as other banks do within the continent and beyond. I appeal that the Senate should look into the need to screen and approve, possibly, the board of this bank in the interest of our economy so that we can have a proper documentation and knowledge of what is going on within the bank. Our point has been made, and it is now the time to hold the executive to account with a board for which we can in every way work together with. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Shehu Sani. As you've come on personal explanation, we're taking note of your comments and we'll look into it. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the National Commission for the Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees, Stateless Persons, and Other Persons of Concern Bill 2018. Mr. President, may we invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Commission for Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees, Stateless Persons, and Other Persons of Concern Bill 2018, HB 603, first reading.
National Commission for Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees, Stateless Persons, and Other Persons of Concern Bill 2018, HB 603, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is also the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Establishment Central Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Police Trust Fund Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, HB 894, first reading.
Nigeria Police Trust Fund Establishment etc. Bill 2018, HB 894, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, etc. Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, HB 951, first reading.
National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment Sector Bill 2018, HB 951, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, HB 401, first reading.
Chartered Institute of Training and Development of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, HB 401, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Emmanuel Polka on the Public Service Institute of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Public Service Institute of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, SB 675, first reading.
Public Service Institute of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, SB 675, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters on the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator David Umaru, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator David Umaru.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm David Umaru. I represent Niger East Senatorial District. I rise to move the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018. I so move.
Senator Polka.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we do receive the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator David Umaru, come and lay the report. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the executive communication from Mr. President C&C on the request for the approval of a promissory note program and a bond issuance to settle inherited local debts and contractual obligations. Distinguished senators will recall that the request from Mr. President C&C for the approval of a promissory note program and a bond issuance to settle inherited local debts and contractual obligations was read on Wednesday, the 28th of March 2018. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that the request be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President C&C for the approval of a promissory note program and a bond issuance to settle inherited local debt and contractual obligations, and that this matter be referred to the relevant committee for legislative action. I so second.
Oh yeah, Deputy Senate President.
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, before you put the question, I'd like to make some few comments regarding this request. One, this request is germane, and it makes a lot of sense because there are a number of people who are dependent on our approval of this request for their daily bread and for the continuity of their business. But looking at this and looking at the letter earlier written to us, or which was read at the floor of this Senate, there are a number of issues that are involved. Some have to do with pensions, some have to do with salaries, some have to do with subsidy, and then some payment to states, refund to states for federal works they've done. So in view of the multi-dimension of this, and of course the issue of the controversy regarding borrowing money to pay for the current items, which is forbidden under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, I think that what we need to do, sir, is that be able to set up an appropriate ad hoc committee to be able to look at this together and see which of them that can be recommended to this Senate for approval, while the other ones are technically deficient or the controversial will now be sent back to the executive for them to decide what to do, depending on what that committee will recommend. Because under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, there's no way you can borrow money to finance a recurrent item. And this is a lot of recurrent items. So I think we need to set up an appropriate committee that will be able to look at this thing sufficiently and be able to advise the Senate which of them that should be approved within the limits of the ambits of our law, and the ones which we need to further dialogue with the executive. So to send them to one committee will be difficult unless we are setting up, bringing up different committees that are here, that are now involved in the whole process. Otherwise, I think the smartest thing to do is to set up a small ad hoc committee to look at this and advise the Senate.
Okay. Senator Ablad. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise, Mr. President, to support, exactly the position that has been taken by the Deputy Senate President. Mr. President, the Senate will recall that, during the session about more than a year ago, that we had, at the cusp of the session, this Senate recommended, among other things, to the executive arm of government, that all outstanding contractual obligations, particularly local debts, the government should endeavor as much as possible to settle them. Because without settling them, there are so many other obligations of some of these firms and companies who have really delivered on their work, and their workers and everything are really going down. So we need really to settle these debts, so that some of these firms can start employing, labor, and then they will really be out of the doldrums, that they have been put as a result of the recession that we had. So in order for the Senate to really honor its own obligations and also honor its word, to be an institution of its own word, I think this particular position regarding these promissory notes, I think should be obliged by this respected institution.
Okay, distinguished. Anyway, there's a motion on the floor. Let me take those in support of the motion that this matter be referred to the relevant committee. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And I think in line of the argument that everybody just will set up my ad hoc committee and announce at the end of today. Leader of the Senate.
Please do not disturb the leader of the Senate. Distinguished senators, allow the Senate leader to consult with the Senate president.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator Binta Masi Garba on the twin bomb blast in Mubi and the need for immediate action to prevent recurrence. Mr. President, you recall that yesterday, Tuesday, the 9th of May 2018, the Senate by our standing order 42 sub 2 of our approved that this motion be moved on next legislative day, which is today. Accordingly, therefore, you may wish to invite Senator Binta Masi Garba to move her motion.
Senator Binta Garba Masi, Adamawa North.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Binta Masi Garba, representing Adamawa North Senatorial Zone, Adamawa State. The twin bomb blasts in Mubi and the need for immediate actions to prevent reoccurrence. The Senate knows that on Tuesday, the 1st of May, 2018, two suspected suicide bombers scattered the relative peace in Mubi and its environs through a twin bomb explosion at a mosque within the popular second-hand market known as Yangwanjo. Over 29 innocent people were officially confirmed in the hospital, but the grave diggers said they buried 85 people, and over 50 others were hospitalized and some in critical conditions, while properties worth millions of nairas were also destroyed. Aware that the recent attack have seriously brought back fears not only in Mubi, but the entire Adamawa North Senatorial District. And since this will definitely affect businesses of the areas, especially Mubi being a commercial center of Adamawa State. Furthermore, the Senate notes the prompt response by the two chairmen of Mubi North and Mubi South in evacuating victims and providing immediate medical services and ambulances which evacuated seriously injured victims to the Federal Medical Center, Yola. Also know that the actions by the state government to take care of treatment of victims of the attack. The Senate appreciates the directives given by the Vice President to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide relief materials to victims, and the visit of the Chief of Army Staff to Mubi on Sunday, May the 6th, 2018, to assess the security situations in the area. The Senate accordingly resolved to condemn this dastardly attack, observed a 1-minute silence for the repose of the souls of the deceased. 3, urged the security agencies, especially the Army, Air Force, Police, DSS, and Immigration, to beef up the security in Mubi and the entire Mubi North Senatorial District. 4, urged the National Emergency Management Agency and Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, PCNI, as a matter of urgency, provide relief materials to the affected community as directed by the Vice President. 5. Urge the National Orientation Agency, Traditional Council, Local Government Council to intensify enlightenment campaign and synergy between the security agencies stroke traditional institutions in ensuring adequate security in the senatorial zone. And lastly, direct Committee on Army, National Agencies and Disaster Preparedness and Internally Displaced Persons, Refugee and Initiative on Northeast to monitor implementation of this resolution. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move. Thank you.
Senator Gbenga Shafa.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Senate President, my distinguished colleagues. This twin bomb blast in Mobi has taken us back, way, way back. It has taken us back in the sense that the two places that were affected happen to be places of worship and where we trade on a daily basis. What this means is that Nigerians living in that part of the country are no more safe in their houses. They are not safe even in the worship places, and they are not safe in the market. I wonder for how long we have to continue to stand up for 1 minute in memory of the dead. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we are going through a very, very traumatic phase in our country today. I only wish that when the IGP, who has been invited here today to come and brief us on the situation, the security situations across the country, will be here to let us know what exactly the government is putting in place. I don't want to preempt his coming, but I believe it is about time our government, the government that will represent the true feelings of the people, rejig and restructure our security apparatus in a manner that all these killings will stop. If it is not Adamawa today, it is Zamfara tomorrow, it is Benue, it is Plateau, it might even be Abuja. No place is safe. Let me just use this as an opportunity to sort of let our National Assembly wait a minute, wait a moment, let the IGP come in here and let the whole country know where we are going. This cannot continue. Thank you.
Yes, and to Barajibri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Baraj Jibrin, Mr. President, let me start by condoling and commiserating with the people of Adamawa at large and people of Mubi in particular for these onslaughts by the Boko Haram insurgents. I want to say that our men and women in uniform have done a great job by defeating Boko Haram. But the Boko Haram insurgents every day come up with different tactics, which is always the case with any insurgents in the world. They've not rested on their evil hours. They are still thinking and creating ways to hit soft targets. So I want to say that our men and women in uniform should not be complacent and think that the war is over. because insurgency anywhere in the world, in fact, even the most protected countries in the world, insurgents still break through their security arrangement to attack people. You've seen what has happened I think last year in UK and some other countries, even in Germany. So I want to see in France. So let me emphasize this. Yes, they've done a good job, but they should not rest on their oar, they should not be complacent. And they should be innovative in their surveillance system to make sure that whenever the insurgents develop new tactics, they should be able to see that and nip whatever they want to do in the bud. I commend them, and I want to emphasize that they should be at alert and redouble their effort. Guerrilla warfare is always like that. Those involved in it will relax, look for some target and attack. And as I said earlier, this matter, this insurgency has been here for the past, since 2000. That's how they've been attacking us in Kano, thinking that they are people that will not be seen, they are invincible. But later we realized they were Boko Haram insurgents. So let them redouble their effort, they've done a great job. They are wonderful people, our military, the men and women in uniform are wonderful people, but let them redouble their effort. I just submit, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President.
Senator Ma will have more.
Mr. President, distinguished Senator, my name is Senator Mao Aruko North. Mr. President, for me, this is a double tragedy. Double tragedy in the sense that maybe most of you will know that by extension, I'm part of Adamawa State. I did my youth service and also was retained by the Federal Polytechnic Yola that eventually moved to Mubi. So I lectured at the Federal Polytechnic Mubi and I stayed in Adamawa for a very long time. So it is a tragedy for me. Then number two, Mr. President, if you look at the market where this incident happened, in the Hausa language they say Kaswa Guanjo, but if you look at it, it's like the second-hand clothing area. And who are the people really involved in this second-hand clothing are people from my own constituency. People from my constituency where I represent, and most of them reside in Mubi and in Adamawa State where they do their business. And you can see why I feel very, very sad about this incident. Mr. President, distinguished senators, this is a disaster, one too many. Last time we met here, I remember I talked about declaring state of emergency in some of the states. Some people did not understand the point where I'm coming from. Mr. President, we cannot every day continue speaking and talking about one thing all the time, and we expect people to take us seriously. We shouldn't play politics with the life of Nigerians. We are elected, and one of the primary functions of government or parliament is the protection of life and property. And if every day we see Nigerians being killed as if we are wrong. Mubi was just about getting back to itself. Mubi was under siege for many years. Just a few months ago, Mubi was just getting back into it because it's an economic activity center. But look at what has just happened. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, we have decided that the IG will come here. I think it should be more urgent now than ever before, because we need to know what is actually happening. We don't come here every day, we observe 1 minute silent, we say NEMA, we do this. Mr. President, I disagree. We should do something drastic. We should do something very urgent. I even want to disagree with my sister Binta in some of these prayers, because what are we appreciating people for? You appreciate people for doing their job. You appreciate NEMA for giving relief materials. We appreciate the army or the police for saving the life of Nigerians. I think we don't need to appreciate them. All we need to do is to bring them here. If there are areas we can collaborate, let's collaborate and nip this thing in the bud and stop it once and for all. If we are going to close shop, let's close shop. But we must take this a little more seriously and go beyond 1 minute silent, give relief material. Tomorrow again, you don't know where next. Like Ashafa said, it was in Nasarawa the other day, it was in Taraba, it was in Plateau. Now it had been in Adamawa, but they've come back there. So what can we do as a, do we just fold our hands and watch things fall apart? It's as if the center cannot hold anymore. So we definitely have to arise this time and stop politics. Irrespective of your political affiliation, we must discuss this issue once and for all and take a rational decision and decide which way forward. If we're bringing the IG, I don't know what politics is happening. If he will come, let him come and brief us and let's know which way forward. Mr. President, on this note, I second this motion and say that we should discuss this issue more seriously than just leaving it at the point of 1 minute silence and NEMA and all that. We should do something very drastic. Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's go straight to prayers. Prayer 1, resolve to condemn the dastardly act. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Observe a 1 minute silence for the repose and souls of the deceased. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3 urges security agencies, especially the Army, Air Force, Police, DSS, and Immigration to beef up security Mubi and the entire Adamawa North Senatorial Zone. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4 urges the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, PSNI, to, as a matter of urgency, provide relief materials to the affected community as directed by the Vice President. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5 urge the National Orientation Agency, traditional councils, local government councils to intensify an enlightenment campaign and synergy between the security agents, traditional institutions in ensuring adequate security in the senatorial zone. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 6, direct Committee on Army, National Emergency, Disaster Preparedness, and Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees, and Initiatives on Northeast to monitor implementation of the resolutions. Those amendment, yes, Senator Akume.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Akume. Prayer 3. We urge the security agencies, especially the Army, Air Force, Police, DSS, and Immigration to beef up security. If all are involved in beefing up security, it shouldn't just be the Army that should be involved in monitoring the implementation. I want to suggest that we include not just that, but the Air Force, the Police, DSS, and Immigration. All these committees. No, I'm talking about the direct committees on Army, National Emergency and Disaster Preparedness, and internally displaced persons, refugees, and initiative. What I'm saying is, if you look at 3, it is urging security agencies, especially the Army, Air Force, Police, DSS, Immigration. If they are involved, then committees respectively on the issue of Army, Air Force, Police, they should also be involved in monitoring. That's what I was trying to say, Mr. President. I'm saying that direct committees on Army, Air Force, Police, DSS, Immigration, then National, to do it, to do the implementation, since all of them are involved in beefing up security in the affected areas.
Yes, Senator Ashafa.
Thank you once again, Mr. President. I think what Senator Akume is trying to say, I want to believe what he is trying, the amendment is trying to put in place could be rewritten this way. That is, resolution number 6 should read, Security and Intelligence Committee of the Senate to monitor implementation of the resolutions. And why is this so? Security has covered all the security agencies in-house, while intelligence will take care of the foreign aspect of it, like the Cameroons and all these border countries. Security and Intelligence Committee of the Senate to monitor implementation of the resolutions. That is for 6.
So I'll put the question on the original prayer then, since we don't have consensus on it. Those in favor of prayer 6 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let us observe 1 minute silence. May their gentle souls rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the Conference Committee report on the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act Cap I-117 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House passed different versions of the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act Cap 117 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2018. The Conference Committee of both houses have met and harmonized the differences in accordance with Senate Standing Order 87. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Sabo Mohammed to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the conference report.
Senator Sabo Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Sabo Mohammed, representing Jigawa Southwest. I move that the Senate do receive and consider the Conference Committee report on Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act CAP I-17 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2018. I so move.
Senator Samayan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Samayan Imo East. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive the Conference Committee report on Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act CAP 117 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2018 SB 638 as moved by Senator Sabo. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the Conference Committee report on Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act CAP 117 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2018 SB 638. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Sabo Mohammed, if you come and lay the report first and then go back and present the report. Yes, Senator Sabo, present the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I present to you the conference report on Industrial Development Act, Income Act, Tax Relief, CAP 17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters. The conference committee met on the 2nd May 2018 and deliberated on areas of difference. The areas of difference include two clauses, C and D, and 6, 4C and D and 6. The committee recommends as follows. Clause 4C and D, the Senate version was adopted. Clause 6, also the Senate version was adopted. I so present.
Any comments? If not, I'll just put a question in. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we adopt the report, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Trade and Investment on the Companies and Allied Matters Act Cap C-20, Amendment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, the 2nd of May 2018. Mr. President, I want to move that we simply distribute the report because it's so massive, so huge, so big, to allow distinguished senators to read the report, and then we do the consideration another legislative day. I therefore move that we stand down the consideration, only the distribution of the report. I so move.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second that the report be distributed and reserved for another day in consideration. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, I'm informed that already that these reports have been distributed to your offices. So as I said yesterday, but because a lot of our members were not here, is that we will stand, in line with the motion, we will stand down the item and give everybody between now and Tuesday to have read through the report for consideration next week. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the briefing by the Inspector General of Police on the spate of killings across the country and the inhuman treatment of distinguished Senator Dino Melai. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you recall that the Senate resolved to invite the Inspector General of Police to appear before the Senate today to brief this distinguished Senate on the spate of killings across the country and the inhuman treatment of distinguished Senator Dino Melai. Mr. President, distinguished senators, in order to carry out this exercise in conformity with our Standing Order 17, floor privileges, I will move two motions. First, I move that the Senate resolve into Committee of the Whole that we need to find out.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that Order 18 be suspended to allow us take the IG and then the Senate resolve in the Committee of the Whole.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Sergeant, if you invite the IG, please. Distinguished colleagues, I've just been informed by the clerk that the Inspector General of Police is not here, or anybody in his team is here. So I think we need to decide on the next line of action. Honestly, do you have anything to brief us on?
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, for the last 2 days or so, we have tried to reach to the Inspector General of Police to inform him that he should appear today in keeping with our resolution. We have done that with the Chairman, Senate Committee on Police Affairs. Personally, I made attempts to call his line, the IG's line, and I sent text messages that he should call me as soon as he was able to see my message. Clearly, the IG is not here. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I think this is very, very unusual. This is very unusual and also very unfortunate. I personally feel that public officers should do what is in the interest of the public, and where any public officer feels he cannot do what is in the interest of the public, then there is no need for such an officer to continue to occupy that kind of office. I believe that this institution is now at a crossroad on this. I want to believe that a decision has to be taken on the way forward. We, even though we'll always like to have our security agencies to come and brief us because of the current security situation in the country, in fact, even on a daily basis, where possible. But in a situation where there is consistent non-appearance by the IG, I don't think it will make any further sense to continue to extend invitation until the Senate takes a definite decision to make the situation better. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Bocha.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, this is quite a very sad moment for Nigeria, not for the parliament, but for our democracy, that for the very first time, let me share or inform the Senate that, Mr. President, I had the privilege or the grace to chair the House Committee on Police Affairs in the 5th National Assembly. And I cannot imagine in my wildest imagination that such a thing could happen to the country's highest lawmaking body. It is sad, it is inexcusable, it's unacceptable, it's condemnable, and it calls for immediate action. A while ago, a friend of mine was sharing with me that some people might not come out to tell us their weaknesses. Either they don't have the capacity to withstand this Senate or whatever. Now, this clearly explains one's lack of capacity to even serve in a position like that. I think this Senate need to take a very, very serious action on the way forward. We cannot stand this embarrassment any longer. And I will suggest, Mr. President, let us have a closed session, or possibly, I am moving, we have a closed session or an executive session to take very serious consideration on this matter, because this is a national disgrace. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Issa Misau.
Thank you, Mr. President. My highly respected colleagues, my name is Senator Comrade Issa Misau. I represent the good people of Bauchi Central. Mr. President, it's on record, you know, when I came here first to make several allegations about the leadership in the police. I made mention here, categorically clear, there is a problem in the leadership in the police. And my reason, simple reason was, throughout my life, I've been in the police system. My father served in the police for 35 years, which he retired as an Assistant Inspector General of Police. Throughout my life, I know about the police job, which later I served in the police for over 10 years. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, on official capacity, there is no any person here that is no bigger than the IG constitutionally. Anybody here can invite IG officially, because by the constitution, every senator is bigger than the office of the IG. And this is, if we are counting, this is the 4th time the IG was invited here, and for some other reasons, he refused to come. The first time when I made the allegation on the way the police is being governed or made by the Inspector of Police, he brought a lawyer challenging the authority of the Senate to invite him. But today, all what I've said is coming out clearly. All the allegations I made, about 13 allegations, I think everything came out. That is God for you. Today, the last time when we invited the IG, they said he went to Birningwari. The IG was there, or was on that trip when they killed more than 70-something people. If the IG will snub the invitation of the Senate and claim that he has moved to Birningwari in Kaduna State, and when he was there and he could not stop the killings of about 87 people, then it shows that you cannot deceive God, you can only deceive man. Today, Mr. President, what the IG is doing is not against the Senate. I think he's doing it against the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because he is the leader today of this country. If an appointee of the President, somebody within 1 second, or somebody, even the wife of the President, can even come out and announce that the President said IG should be sacked, who refuse to honor invitation of an institution which is the main institution that sees the democratic running of any democracy, I think is unfortunate. Mr. President, it shows so many things. I think it is left now for this government to decide if they have an appointee that will re-establish the image of the country. Because what he's doing here, there is no parliament, check it anywhere, that will invite somebody, an appointee of the president that will not honor it. Check anywhere. I stand to be corrected. Anywhere that they are practicing democracy in the world. This is the only country that you see a parliament will invite somebody and the person will say will not come. I think we can either do it here at the plenary, or what Senator Walter said, we should go back to executive session and decide on what to do. Because we can't be, the Constitution that gave you right to carry gun, to make people to go and be arresting people, is the same Constitution that gave us that right to invite anybody. And even if it means today, if a policeman in Lagos slap a civilian, we have every right to call the IG and make us to explain to us what is the reason behind a policeman slapping somebody. We are talking about crisis that is happening in this country. Every day there are killings. Some killings are not even reported in this chamber. Some killings are not even reported today. And who are the main organizations that are supposed to safeguard lives and property? Is the police. The army is just complementing the efforts of the police. And today what we are mentioning everywhere is army, army, army. Today we should be able to know what is even the strength of the police, what is even the capacity, what is even the kind of training they're having. And if the leader of the police cannot honor this, that means he's not competent to hold that office. What is he afraid of? If he knows what he's doing is right, let him come and say this thing. Because we want him to explain to Nigerians what is happening. He's not explaining to us. We are representative of the people, but by the time we give it, everybody is calling that they want to know what is happening in the country. And an appointee cannot just refuse to come unless, of course, if the person is hiding some information or is hiding something, or if it's not, or if it's not competent to come and face the Nigerians and answer to this question. I think it's most unfortunate, and we have to do something about the image of Mr. President, the image of our country, and the image of our democratic environment, that is the institution of the parliament. It has never happened anywhere, and we should cross-check it and see. The same law that backed the IG to do what he's doing in the country is the same law, the same constitution that backed the Senate to call him, Section 88 and 89. We have every right to know what is happening in the country. Today, Binta Masi just moved a motion about the killings in Mubi. And we are talking about the military. What is the work of the police there? What has the police done? I made mention of the robbery in Offa. What has the police done? The work of the police is not about issue of politics. It's not about issue of politics. The time that you see police at work, it's when it concerns a politician. But when it concerns with the main issue of securing the lives and properties of Nigerians, that is the time that you see they are dragging feet. But if it is issue of politics, I think this one is a big embarrassment for the country, and it's a big embarrassment for the commander-in-chief. Thank you.
Senator Barbe.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I just want to make one very little statement, a very short and very small statement. Democracies die. If any one of us continues to feel that, oh, we have a democracy, I want to tell each and every one of us and Nigerians that democracies die. And it dies in two ways. It either dies abruptly, like we have seen in Nigeria, or it dies in little bits. And what is going on today in Nigeria is that democracy is dying in little bits. And it dies when people abuse governmental power. And all that we have seen today with the conduct of the chief law officer of the Federation of Nigeria is nothing but an abuse of power. He has no respect for this institution. That is now a fact. There's absolutely no way we can dress it. There's absolutely no way we can say, let us give him some more time There's absolutely no way we can say that what he is doing is anything but an abuse of this institution, of the Federation of Nigeria, of himself, even in the eyes of the international community. This morning, I watched somebody who was a police officer in Britain say something very germane to what we're discussing today. And he said, if the chief law officer of a federation cannot obey the law himself, how do you now say to other people who are miscreants and other people who are those who commit crime, how do you want them to obey the law when you don't obey the law yourself? Now, Mr. President, I also want to agree with our colleague here who has said that we need to actually go into a closed session and be very, very frank to ourselves and agree whether we will accept this insult to the President of Nigeria, because the chief law officer is an appointee of the President. And if he disobeys the law, he is actually doing it against the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so, I want to appeal to each and every one of us, our colleagues, to remember that if you don't deal with this abuse of power, all of us are going to regret it, because there is nothing that will stop anybody else from doing what he likes in this country. I so submit.
Distinguished colleagues, I think there is a motion, or I said there is, we move the closed door session and discuss these issues. Those who are in favor of that say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Let's move to closed door session, please.